friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be redecorating my mantle for Valentine's Day. So I'm going to be taking it from this to this, and hopefully you get some inspiration along the way. Let's get started. With any decorating project, I like to start from scratch and I clean off all of the old stuff before getting started. You'll see there's a few things that I used in this video that were left over from Christmas, but I felt like they were a great transition over to the new holiday. It's a great way to reuse things and not have to buy new stuff. I'm going to start with the biggest piece first, of course, which is the canvas. I do a DIY tutorial at the end of this if you'd like to make one for yourself. I also got these mirrored sconces from Magnolia. I can put the link below for those as well. So I'm going to start with the vases, which are, again, one of the bigger pieces on my mantle. And please forgive the lighting. My camera is really doing weird things throughout this video. Flowers are an essential on any mantle, at least in my opinion. I love that they add a softness, and here I just mixed some whites, creams, and then red roses. I added some candles in the sconces. I actually later swapped them out for battery ones just because I was a little nervous about the flame near the flowers. I think you'll realize that I love old books, and they work really well for risers and height on any decorating project that I use. So here I start with some red ones. Again, I transitioned those over from Christmas. I filled this little candy jar full of glittered hearts, which I got at the dollar store. So just a nice little filler that adds some sparkle and a little bit of pink. In keeping with the romantic love theme, I wanted to add some wedding photos of my parents and my grandparents. So this one I just printed in black and white and put in an old frame. Again, I used a candlestick here as a riser for height and a cardinal and a little red heart. This next photo is of my grandparents and I love it. It's very old and very sweet. Just adding in some small things for layers and texture and balance. The angel wings, again, were just a little bit of a romantic flair that I thought transitioned over from Christmas well. And another jar that matches my candy jar. This one is filled with colorful strawberries, which you'll see later. Next, I added these darling little vintage Valentines, which I found in my mom's stash actually, so not sure who they're from, but they're cute. Next up is my sheet music paper chain garland, which I actually do a tutorial at the end of this video if you are interested in what I used and what supplies. It's actually pretty basic. It took me back to my childhood, but it is a nice addition of some texture to my mantle. It just felt a little bland without something there, so this is a very inexpensive, very easy to do addition. So here's another piece that I used that was from Christmas. It's actually a garland that has mercury glass ornaments on it. None of them were very specific shape to Christmas. In fact, they have hearts on some of them. So I thought this would be a cute addition to add some red and kind of glam to my mantle. I also have these ornaments from Christmas that I had got a couple years ago from my shop, and they kind of had a Swedish Scandinavian design to them, which I love. And they were perfect, again, to add more layer to my mantle. And then last, I added a couple of these ornaments that also I used on my tree this year that had vintage photos of old couples. So they were just in black and white, and again, went with my theme. Just a few more added details on the side table beside the fireplace. I added the remainder of my books, an old vintage vase, candlestick, and a little piece of art. A couple more details, and then we will be complete. watching, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you got a little inspiration for your Valentine's Day decor. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel. You can just hit the subscribe button below, or even just like or comment on my page any ideas you like to incorporate in your Valentine's Day decor. Have a blessed day and happy decorating. I got this canvas at Habitat for Humanity and it was $29 and then half off. It was way back in the corner. It was not with all the rest of the art. So make sure you look around when you're looking for things, because a lot of the other art and canvases were like $50 or more. So really ridiculous. Anyway, definitely not the look I'm going for. I'm going to just use it as my base. So I'm going to start by gathering my supplies, which I have done already. Just a cheap chip brush, some white paint is my base, and a cup of coffee. So let's get started. So obviously we're going to speed this up for the sake of time because I'm basically just painting this white. I used a satin paint and I just cleaned the piece off and painted over it. I was kind of cross-hatching, so going up and down and then back and forth the other way to overlap the paint, and it gave pretty good coverage, and then I did just a little bit of touch-up on the second coat. So again, we're not looking for perfection here. I might even paint over this again for another season. So it was just a cheap art project. I wanted to keep this simple because I had a lot of other stuff going on my mantle, so I just wanted to do some sort of layered heart. I measured out generally where I wanted the edge of the heart to be, and then the center of the canvas, and then I freehanded just with a pencil a heart shape. So again, I'm going to be doing this a little freehand. Don't be scared, you can always paint over it. It's not that big a deal if you mess up, it's just paint. I have a little buddy here that's not being very helpful, so. Next, I took a few colors that I decided to layer with. I had a bright red, a dark barn red, a brown, a white, a cream, and a beige. So I just wanted to mix these up. I did end up mixing a red and a white to make a pink as well. Right now, I'm starting with my first heart. So I'm trying to be as perfect with this one as possible. This is the only one that I'm really going to spend a lot of time trying to perfect. And I'm just freehanding it. Again, you could do some sort of stencil and cut out with paper, but I have painted for a while, so I'm just going for it. I started with a bright red, then a dark red. Again, blending them, overlapping them, just trying to get a cool effect. Here's another angle here. I had the wrong angle with my camera, so it wasn't a full screen, but I wanted to give you an idea of what I was doing from this angle. It's a little bit better. So I'm just going from light to dark. The colors are kind of blending together, making different shades of all the reds and creams, which is totally fine. I didn't mind that at all. I'm going to go ahead and let this whole thing run just so you can see all of the layers that I do. I just am focusing on balance on either side, but not exactly matchy match. I just want it to look layered and kind of woven. There really is no wrong or right way to do this. I just was kind of going off of my heart, pun intended, until I liked it. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, there's no way I can do this, trust me, you're wrong. You can do some form of this. I believe in you. I know a lot of people that through the years have come in and bought paint from me at my store, and they said, I'm not creative. I don't know what I'm doing. And a lot of it is just fear of just trying, like just start, just try it. And what's the loss? A little bit of time and a little bit of paint. And just start small. You don't have to do anything big. This is very, very simple. You're just drawing hearts with paint. So if that's you and you've been afraid to start a project like this and have wanted to, let me be the encouragement that you need to just try it. I would love to hear if you do and how it goes. I decided I wanted to add just a simple word at the bottom. Love seemed appropriate, and here I'm measuring out where the bottom of the heart ends and giving myself a little bit of a template for where I want to write the word. I did look up online script lettering for the word love to kind of get an idea of the font I wanted to use. I went ahead and just freehanded it onto the canvas, but you could easily stencil it on or write it on with a pencil first in order to give yourself a guideline. The Sharpie or marker that I was using was a little bit fine. I wish I had something a little bit thicker, so I did go back and outline it a little bit just to give it more depth. It faded into the canvas a little bit too much, and I wanted it to pop a little bit more when it was up on my mantle. And again, worst case, if you mess it up, you can always go back and paint over it and start again. I will admit, once I was done, I wasn't sure that I totally loved it. I didn't know if it was too simple or that I was just being overcritical. I think we're all our own worst critics, so I decided to just put it up and live with it for a little while and see if there was something that I might want to add later. So I'm pretty pleased with how the mantle turned out so far, but I did feel like the mantle base was lacking something, so I'm going to create a garland for the bottom out of old sheet music. So basically like the old construction paper garlands that you would loop together as a kid. In fact, this is a real kid-friendly project as well. So I'm going to do that with some sheet music, kind of love song-esque, going with the theme. A few supplies that I gathered for this was obviously the sheet music. I bought this at probably an estate sale or a thrift store. I just pick them up from time to time when I see them in good shape. I have sticky dots adhesive. You also could use like a double-sided tape, which is fine as well, or a little bit of glue. I have my cutting board. I have a pair of scissors. I'm going to take a couple sheets of paper of the sheet music and cut the strips out of them. It is a little bit thicker and my blade is not that sharp, so I am not doing too many at a time. So I'm going to do about 1 inch. I don't want them super thick. I want them a little bit less childlike, a little bit more creative. So I'm going to do these at the 1 inch mark. So go ahead and line that up and cut that off. That feels about right. Most garlands are around 72 inches, so that's kind of what I'm going to shoot for, but I can always add or detract as I see fit. So I decided I wanted to go with a little bit smaller loop just because I wanted it to look a little bit more creative and handcrafted. I cut them in half in order to make these smaller sections, and so we're looking at about 4.5 inches. I would maybe prefer 5 inches, but that's what I've got to work with. All right, after cutting them down into about 4.5 by 1 inch strips, I have about 4 pages used up here, and I'm thinking this might be enough. So let me clean off my table and then we'll get taping. You could use a double-sided tape, which is fine, but I do have these sticky dot adhesive sheets, which are pretty handy because you can just stick it on there and then adhere it. So it just makes for a faster process. So if you wonder what I'm doing, that's what I'm doing. So you literally just stick it on there, get some of the stickiness on there, pull it off, and then make your circle. So one down, lots to go. So next one, you just loop through and adhere the end. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for the quickest, fastest way to do something. Not because I'm trying to cheat the system necessarily, because I don't want a lesser product, but I definitely want to be able to do it in the fastest, most efficient way possible. So I started off by individually like putting them on there, making the ring and so on, but I just took all of them and stuck them on there, and now I can just pop them off and they're ready to go. So it just makes it more streamlined, because this definitely takes a while. Definitely faster. All right, that was the last one. At least I hope. Let's go ahead and try it out on the mantle. All right, I like it. It took 4 sheets and just a little bit of that sticky adhesive, not too much time, and I love it.